So for setup wise, I'm on obviously the Fanatec NASCAR wheel. I like to use 12 to 1 pretty much for everything. If you have a smaller wheel, you might want to go 14 or 16 to 1. Um, when I first started out, I liked 16 to 1 because it was slower and allowed me, like, the steering was slower, allowed me to catch the car because I was usually behind. But as you progress, you might want to continue to go down. Steering offset, I hardly ever mess with. Brake bias, I think was stock was 62 and a half. I took it down to 61. I don't think it's going to matter too much. Just whatever you're comfortable with as far as for pit road entry, so you don't spin out getting on the pit road because you're not going to use a ton of brake in the corners here. Just a little bit, enough to uh, set the nose and get the truck turning down the racetrack. So yeah, that's setup wise. Do a qualifying. So qualifying here, I think will probably be lap one. I like to leave pit road in second, just so I don't spin the tires. Cause I want to keep as much heat out of them as possible for this track anyway. So obviously this pit road exit, and then get here. When I start getting on it, we're going to run 3 and 4, obviously on the high side coming to the green. Don't be scared to put some wheel into it because we don't care about tires on qualifying here. So off the high side, get as much speed down the straight as we can. We're going to run the top side in 1 and 2. I like the lefts on that little line right there. Let it float up to the wall. Get that run off. Bottom in 3 and 4. Kind of a late apex. Down to the white. Shortest way back to the line. So 32.93. Yeah. Okay. Um, so you can see my track temperature is 89 degrees. Track temperature on this track is going to be huge as far as how much speed you can get out of the truck. Um, so if your track is hotter or cooler, just keep that in mind. Okay. I forgot to turn my hands on so you guys could see it. Yeah. Steering wheel, hands. Okay. All right. So long run. I did 10 laps here. Something happened with my OBS, so I'm having to redo it. I was just gonna run them and then show you, but anyway, I did 10 laps. I think my tires were 97s on the left and 93 on the right front, 94 on the right rear after 10 laps. Temperatures are like 240 or 250, I think. Anyway, long runs. I typically like the bottom in 3 and 4. I like those white line here. And then I like to come off kind of low like this, especially if you're trying to pass somebody. I think it helps you get down. I like the top in 1 and 2. It's the fastest. Like I say, I aim for this little seam down there, and then I let the truck just kind of work its way up the racetrack there. The problem with running the top is, well, can be a problem, but it might be a good thing too. It is looser up there, so if you're burning up the right front, you can obviously That'll help the truck get on the right rear and save your right front. Um, 1 and 2, maybe early in the run, you can run down here on the white line. If it's a little bit looser down there, which is great for saving tire. If you're not comfortable with it, you might want to run that first seam. Um, I don't really like this seam in 3 and 4, so it feels kind of tight to me, like there's no grip there. So that's why I like to go below the seam there. But in 1 and 2, this first seam feels pretty good, and it lets you carry a little bit of extra speed versus being on the bottom. So it's all about just working the throttle, um, and you'll see the sight picture. Like I always say, you want to keep your steering wheel you don't want to give it more steering wheel to make it turn. That just means you're eating up the tires, right? So once you hit your spot, like call it 20 degrees to the left or whatever. Like once I hit this spot, I pretty much want to turn the truck with my feet from here. So once the truck starts coming down the hill like that, I know I can give it more gas. When it's pushing up towards the wall, I know I either got to get off the gas or give it just a touch of brake. I like a late apex on the corners to widen out the corners and to get the run off. So you don't want to go to the corner right here. You don't want to go to the corner and just immediately go to the white line like this, because now you got this long corner I got to get around. And I'm going to have to do that by slowing down or giving it more wheel, which is just going to kill your tires. So the idea is to enter the corner as late as possible and let the truck work down throughout the corner. To, you know, ideally you want to apex right wherever the absolute center of the corner is. So you want to come in, let it work down as it's coming around. Now you've changed the radius of the corner and made it a lot easier to get through and carry speed. You can run the top in 3 and 4. I don't like it as much. I just don't feel like there's a ton of speed up there. You'll see on the Delta, by the end of the straightaway, I'll start gaining speed. But now 1 and 2, I really like the top up here because you can really carry some speed down the straightaways, and I feel like it really sets you up to pass somebody there. So let me change this bar. There we go. You see my Delta going real hard green because I ran the top last lap. Then you'll start seeing it get a little red as I enter the end of the straightaway because I'm not carrying as much speed. But I just like the bottom in 3 and 4 way better than I do the top. I kind of look at it like if I run the top in 1 and 2 and the bottom in 3 and 4, I'm using right rear in 1 and 2, and I'm using right front in 3 and 4. So I feel like it always kind of evens out, and I do that a lot at other racetracks too, like especially like Charlotte, like 1.5 miles. I tend to, if I can, I'll run the top on one end and the bottom on the other. When you run in the wall, obviously a lot of people like to look at the wall. Don't look at the wall. Find you a line on the racetrack. Look at that. That'll keep you from hitting the wall as much. Obviously, on this racetrack, the closer you get to the wall, the faster you're going to be. But I try to keep it like a half a lane off, just because you're going to lose a ton of time if you get stuck to it, obviously. So on exits, I see a lot of people when they corner exit, one of two things. They'll either not use the racetrack and be way down here when they got all this real estate out to the right. Same way with entry, you want to be up against that wall to help widen the arc or the radius of the corner. But on corner exit, you kind of want to let it just, that way you straighten out the wheel and you just kind of work it right up to the wall. The other thing that I see people do on corner exit sometimes is this. They'll come through. Well, Sanchez is going to mess. No, it messed us up here. I'll do it on the next one. But they'll come into the corner, and when they exit, versus having all that room to the, they'll run it. They'll start running the corner exit way wide. All right, you're just making the racetrack a lot longer right here. All right, you better off if you exit down low and just let the truck basically point it towards the wall when you know you've made it. Kind of like this right here. Now we're cutting racetrack off and not adding racetrack, but we're still able to get on the throttle. So Homestead's pretty cool because there's a gazillion different lines you can run. Like I said, the bottom, the white line in 3 and 4 is my favorite. The top in 1 and 2 is my favorite. But also, once you get deeper in the run, this first seam with your lefts like on the seam is pretty good too. The truck turns good right there, and you're carrying a little bit more speed versus what you would off of that white line because you're a lane up higher. So those are my favorite. And if you get in the corner a little hot, just 10% brake. Keep the steering wheel the same. Don't add wheel to it. Just a little bit of brake, and once you see that picture, the truck, you'll see it start turning down the hill. Then you can get back on the gas a little bit. Like, we're not just going to go 25% to full throttle, right? We want to work in the gas. So, all right, let's run. We'll run the top here. I just feel like there's no grip up here. Like, the truck just turns so, like, you're just lean versus the top in 1 and 2. The top in 3 and 4, it just feels like it's eating the right front because the truck absolutely does not turn there. So, like, once, all right, the truck's turning down the hill, I know I can get on the gas now and just hammer down all the way down this back stretch. And you can see the run you can get down the back stretch versus the bottom. Like, last time we took the top in 3 and 4, and you'll see the time I gained probably right here on the center. Yeah, like, see the delta going up. Like, I'm going to beat that person back to the line. Now, he's probably going to beat me to the end of the straightaway. I'll start losing time right here. All right, last time I ran top 1 and 2, you can see, I'm going to gain in the center, but I'm really going to lose down this back stretch right here. So I feel like the top is worth a tenth at least on 1 and 2, and I feel like the bottom is and the bottom in 3 and 4, you're only losing like 0.03 to a half a tenth maybe to the guy on the top, but I feel like you're saving so much more tire. So really up to you. See if we can make a pit road entry here. Give you an idea. I missed it earlier. Right there, I got in the gas a little too soon. I was a little too tight coming off, which caused it to be loose on exit. All right, it's probably this NASCAR Cup the banner. Yeah, about that NASCAR Cup banner, maybe just a tick before if you're not comfortable with it. And obviously, you want to hold 50, 51 down the straight. You can hold 51 until it tells you to slow down, then you back off to 50, and you just repeat that over and over. You gain a ton of time on pit road. So. All right. So that was a 18 lap run. I was 90 on the right front, 91 on the right rear, 95s on the left, 250 on the right front, and 230. So hold about 3,000 when they're dropping the jack. That'll help you get out of the box and just kind of easy on the first gear. You don't want to spin the tires. This pit road will be making up a lot of time, I take it in third gear, just kind of try to wrap that bottom. Then when you can straighten it out, hammer off right here. You make a ton of time right there. First lap, under green flag conditions, I would run the bottom and 3 and 4. Then you can pick and choose where you want to run from there. Got a little too aggressive there. If you do that, you're going to eat up your tires. It's all about being smooth. And it's not like you don't chop. We ain't chopping the throttle from 100 to 0 on entry. It's not all or nothing, especially on new tires. Like, like here I can go 25% or whatever. And once I see that truck start to turn, then I can get back on the gas. So just working the throttle and the brake to help you turn the truck. That's all we're doing. All right. Well, hopefully that'll help you guys.